The movie revolves around priests who engage in the act of purifying cursed monsters in battle, using their hands, feet, and even their mouths. Meet Itadori Yuji, a regular male student with an extraordinary passion for investigating paranormal phenomena. Despite his unassuming appearance, he possesses remarkable physical strength, able to hurl iron bridges over 23 meters and sprint 50 meters in just 3 seconds. In the first episode, Yuji visits his grandfather one last time. During their conversation, it becomes evident that Mr. Itadori has no other friends or family to accompany him during his final moments. He advises his grandson not to end up alone like him, and encourages Yuji to utilize his strength to aid others. Shortly after, Mr. Itadori peacefully passes away. Yuji's life changes when he meets Fushiguro Megumi, a young sorcerer assigned to retrieve a special-grade cursed object. However, upon reaching the storage location, the object is nowhere to be found. While investigating, Megumi senses a strange odor coming from Yuji's body and is determined to find its source. According to Megumi, Japan experiences mysterious deaths or disappearances every year. These occurrences are attributed to the accumulation of negative emotions, which transform into curses. Furthermore, schools have been utilizing cursed objects in exorcisms. However, the cursed object present at Yuji's school not only resists exorcism, but also poses a significant threat. Yuji immediately agreed to hand it over to Megumi. However, he did not possess the cursed object himself. Instead, it was in the custody of the 2 siblings in his club. It remains a mystery as to where they found the courage to sit and open the cursed object in the middle of the night for studying. It was an utterly irrational decision. Recognizing the gravity of the situation, Megumi and Yuji hastily rushed to the school before any harm could befall them. Unfortunately, they arrived too late. The putrid stench of filth that permeated the school indicated the presence of the curse. Megumi instructed Yuji to wait outside while he ventured inside to rescue the people. The sorcerers fought distinctly compared to conventional priests. They possessed unique abilities known as the curse technique. Megumi's curse technique was named Pokemon. With it, he could summon Shikigami from his shadow. In this particular circumstance, Megumi chose to employ a pair of black and white huskies to purify the curse and locate the other 2 individuals. Upon arrival, he discovered that the curses were attempting to engulf them with a specially graded cursed object. Yuji, reflecting on his teachings, made a daring decision and leaped out of the window to successfully rescue his senpai. Meanwhile, Megumi completed the purification of the curse. Another curse that posed a threat was Sukuna's finger, which was the most potent and terrifying curse. The curses were always eager to acquire these fingers and augment their power, which would pose a significant danger to Megumi. While Yuji was attacked by a curse descending from the ceiling, Megumi hurried to his aid and ended up getting injured instead. The power of this curse was too overwhelming for Megumi, resulting in both internal and external injuries. Despite the peril, Yuji valiantly attempted to confront the curse. However, due to his lack of cursed energy, his attacks only managed to graze the curse, which swiftly overpowered him. Feeling like he had nothing to lose, Yuji decided to take a chance. Megumi panicked as Yuji ingested Sukuna's finger, then promptly escaped from the grip of the monstrous being. Just a touch from Yuji was enough to send it flying away. While the consumption of such a finger would typically result in death for an ordinary person, with a survival rate of 1 in a billion, Yuji was fortunate. However, it was not Yuji who remained in control, but Sukuna who had taken over his body. This was the worst possible scenario that Megumi could fathom. Nevertheless, Yuji suddenly refused to give up and fought to reclaim his own body, regardless of whether he was now a cursed spirit or not. Being purified was considered a curse, but Megumi did not wish for that outcome. At that moment, Gojo Satoru, Megumi's teacher and the most powerful sorcerer, appeared. Upon the discovery that Yuji had swallowed a cursed artifact of extraordinary caliber, Gojo fervently proposed a 10-second duel against Sukuna. This was to assess Yuji's control and to test the power of the King of Curses. While Gojo was warming up, Sukuna rushed to attack but was dodged by Gojo, did not succumb to Sukuna's repeated rush. Even the technique that had defeated the previous curse could not cause any effect. At the end of 10 seconds, Yuji regained his body. Gojo saw that he said Yuji was special, and knocked him out to bring him back to the Jujutsu High awaiting judgment. Megumi knew that according to the law, Yuji would have to die, but he hoped Gojo would save Yuji. Gojo agrees that, until he wakes up, Yuji's eyes will be filled with a spell, and Mr. Gojo, after greeting and introducing to Yuji, believes that he has been sentenced to death but will be postponed if he agrees to be a container for Sukuna, because few people can contain that terrible power more than those fingers that cannot be destroyed. So instead of immediately executing, Yuji can swallow 20 fingers and then sacrifice himself to destroy Sukuna. Of course, If he wanted to leave, it was up to him to choose. After visiting his two senpai, they were seriously injured all over their body in the hospital. Thinking of his grandfather's advice, Yuji decided to accept as an avatar for the King of Curses until he collected 20 fingers and would sacrifice himself. As a welcome gift, Gojo immediately gives the second finger to Yuji's swallow, thinking that it would make it harder for him to control Sukuna's power. However, 2 fingers are still not enough for Yuji to lose control. For convenience, Yuji will follow Gojo and Megumi back to Jujutsu Height, where they can also enter the school without passing the exam, before being accepted into Yuji's school and taken by Gojo to the principal's office. At the beginning of the interview, Yuji was asked about why he wanted to come here when he heard that he entered the school because of the wishes of others. The principal immediately let him fail, but he was still given another opportunity, sat there and answered the question back, but the wrong answer was spanked. After saying that the principal used cursed corpse, which were stuffed animals infused with cursed energy that he crafted to beat him if he dared to say miscellaneous things, the principal emphasized more about the harshness of this career. If there were no clear motivation, it would not be possible to survive. The punches of the teddy bear that seemed effective. Yuji finally realized the truth and gave an answer that made the principal accept. After the interview, it was time to check into the dormitory. Gojo further explained to Yuji the task of containing Sukuna. Yuji not only had to absorb his fingers but also act as a radar to detect them. He was not allowed to sit around waiting for luck to come. The following day, Gojo brought Yuji and Megumi to the station to greet the third new student, Nobara Kugisaki, who came from the countryside. She studied because she was bored living in the countryside but wanted to go to the city. And the deeper reason was that she did not want to share, because Nobara did not like the life in the place where she considered no child to belong to her, and also because of her sister. After letting the 3 students get to know each other, Gojo immediately organized a tour to explore Tokyo, with 2 provincial children to the city like Nobara and Yuji. They were extremely excited, and in response to that excitement, he decided to take them to Robongi, a flashy-sounding place that turned out to be a house near the cemetery with the smell of the curse. Megumi is exempt, while Nobara and Yuji have to purify the curse. Gojo sees this as a test to evaluate their abilities, as Yuji cannot control cursed energy. Gojo gives him a knife to defend himself and tells his students not to play games with Sukuna's power. Purifying the curse may seem like a small thing, but it could be a tragedy for those around him. This test is very much for Nobara. Gojo wants to check her suitability for this job. As soon as she got inside, she asked to separate the group to work more effectively. Yuji was immediately attacked by a curse, but it was not strong, so soon he destroyed it. The game was not more difficult for Nobara. She went into a room full of mannequins, and she knew at a glance which one was the curse in disguise. She immediately took out her curse tool consisting of nails, and the hammer was buffed with cursed energy. Once it was hit, the curse was difficult to escape. After endgame, with the cursed spirit, Nobara discovered that a boy was hiding nearby. Before she could rescue the boy, suddenly another curse appeared. It was more terrible than the others in that it was thinking. So instead of fighting, it took the other boy hostage. Faced with the decision to follow her heart or her head, Nobara decided to choose the heart to lower the weapon to surrender unconditionally. Thinking that this time Nobara said goodbye, Yuji suddenly appeared and cut off the hostage rescue curse's arm successfully. See, the situation is not good. The cursed spirit intends to run away, but Nobara takes out the straw, Annabelle, to put on its remaining arm, and then activates the curse technique, waving a hammer, and the doll works similar to an effigy. So the curse is immediately destroyed. The test ended after bringing the child back. Gojo immediately invited the whole group to eat and drink as a welcome party. While Gojo's group was excited, in the west of Tokyo, some non-sorcerers saw a cursed womb appear in the sky, so Yuji and the homies were sent to do the purification work. But Gojo was absent because a long business trip made this mission even more dangerous because the enemy was a special grade. A cursed womb swallowed Sukuna's finger, so the priority would be to save the living and avoid fighting by all means. Before entering, seeing the desperation of a woman with a child in captivity, Yuji was even more determined to save people. When he understood the danger of this task, Megumi summoned the White Husky to prevent them from being suddenly attacked. However, just past the door, the 3 young men fell into the enemy's trap. A large space opened before their eyes, and the door immediately disappeared. They quickly realized that the 3 hostages, including the woman's son, had been killed. Yuji wanted to bring out the rest of the bodies, but Megumi protested that he wanted to prioritize saving those who were still alive, if not for the mission. Megumi was determined not to save these hostages, including the other woman's child, because he knew about them and knew that they were the scum of society. Watching the ongoing argument between the 2 boys, Nobara said to resolve, but halfway through, she was taken away by the surprise of the 2 of them. At this time, Megumi realized that the White Husky had lost contact from time to time. When he hadn't yet spoken to Yuji, the special grade cursed spirit approached and cut off Yuji's hand. The situation was extremely urgent, forcing Yuji to make a deal with Sukuna. But he refused. With the remaining 18 fingers, he could still revive. So Yuji started to provoke. So Sukuna still agreed to change places with Yuji, and he would handle both his comrades once he had finished. With the situation, it was impossible not to use Sukuna. Yuji quickly told Megumi to find Nobara and escape while he held back the cursed spirit. Notify him when it's safe for him would release Sukuna. Megumi initially protested vehemently. But with the current situation, this was the only way for the three of them to have a chance to live. Megumi accepted to leave and summoned the Black Husky to find her. Nobara was also in significant danger. She was at a disadvantage when she was surrounded, and fortunately, Megumi came in time to save her. While Yuji was struggling to cope with the special grade cursed spirit because the level difference was so great that the pain and fatigue made Yuji just want to give up and follow the call of the survival instinct. But Yuji still decided to dismiss that thought and would resist. His fist suddenly surged with cursed energy. Although the power was not enough to hurt the cursed spirit, he heard a signal that his friends were safe. Yuji immediately activated the exchange so that Sukuna came out. To face the king of curses, the cursed spirit began to fear. Sukuna thought the kid was quite skilled and wanted him to join in attacking Megumi's group. But the cursed spirit suddenly attacked Sukuna. Sukuna immediately showed him the difference in strength between the two sides. The battle was like a walk. When he saw that the cursed spirit had a strong will to fight, Sukuna praised it by showing it what a curse technique was. The king of curses launched his strongest skill domain expansion. Castle of Love. Immediately the cursed spirit was divided into parts and dissolved. Sukuna mercilessly recovered the finger that the cursed spirit had absorbed. After finishing the battle, he called Yuji to change his position but didn't see a response, so he immediately took over Yuji's body. Before that, Megumi handed Nobara back to the manager, and then waited for Yuji to come out alone. Megumi felt that the territory had disappeared. That is, the cursed spirit was destroyed. But the person who appeared after that was not his friend, but Sukuna. Instead of killing him quickly, the king of curses wanted to confide a little, so Sukuna leisurely swallowed the finger he had just obtained as soon as he took Yuji's heart out. Then he explained that if Yuji took control now, he would die, so he could do whatever he wanted. Megumi knows that Yuji is willing to sacrifice. Still, he is unwilling to allow Yuji to do so, so now he has to find a way to trick Sukuna into putting his heart back. But with his current ability, Sukuna is too strong compared to Megumi. The situation is too disadvantageous to force Megumi to use the technique. Sukuna is also excited but has not yet implemented it. Yuji has come back, and he is willing to sacrifice himself to stop Sukuna. Yuji's body was brought back to Jujutsu High for examination. Gojo also returned, and Gojo was not stupid. He knew immediately that sending him on a business trip and forcing 3 children to do tasks beyond their ability were all the intentions of the senior elders to kill Yuji silently. Gojo threatened to kill all the old men if his students were in danger. Gojo wanted to innovate this world, but it was not enough to wipe out the old men. He joined and pursued education to create a generation that was both strong and smart, and Yuji used to be one of them. Somewhere in Tokyo, a group of cursed spirits appeared, including Jato Suguru, a sorcerer, and cursed spirits representing emotions with the ocean, forest, fire, and people. We will call them sea, forest, fire, and human. Their plot is to destroy the human race to take over this world for the cursed spirit, and the curse to do that they need to finish 2 things. The first is to prevent Gojo Satoru, and the second is to pull Sukuna towards them. Regarding Gojo, Geto proposes to use the prison realm as a special grade cursed object, which can lock up anything. And about Sukuna, Geto said that he was somehow revived, and maybe Geto was right, because Sukuna had not died yet. He was crushing Yuji in his mind. He wanted to divide the time to use his body, and wanted to bind that when he shouted, "It's my time." Yuji had to give up his body to him within 1 minute, during which time he would not kill or hurt anyone. Yuji would forget about this contract completely. Binding vows are essentially contracts created through cursed energy that an individual can make with oneself or another person. Even Sukuna had to obey the law. Yuji agreed because the contract seemed acceptable, which surprised everyone. So Gojo immediately wanted to hide Yuji's return and use this time to train him professionally. Gojo's goal was for Yuji to generate and control cursed energy, avoid waste, and maximize efficiency. And the best way to do that is to watch the movie. When watching the movie, Yuji's emotions will fluctuate, affecting the cursed energy emitted. So if the cursed energy generates too much or too little, unfortunately, this cursed corpse bear will punch him. By the way, Gojo also wants to know more about Yuji's resurrection, whether it is accompanied by any bond with Sukuna, even if it is. But according to the agreement of the 2 parties, Yuji will lose all memory of it. On the side of Megumi and Nobara, although they also mourned for their dead friend, they soon overcame their pain and trained to become stronger. And the second-year student group invited them to participate in a friendly match with another Jujutsu High, under the guidance of senpais, including Maki Zenin, who had no attention but was super strong when used, the cursed tool Panda, a cursed core, who could transform to increase their strength, Toga Inumaki, a sorcerer who used his voice to control others. One evening while on the way to the principal's appointment, Gojo felt the stench of the curse and decided to stop the car for an inspection. As expected, Gojo was ambushed by fire. With his curse technique of fire, he had the illusion that he would destroy Gojo, but his fire was too weak for Gojo. To change the way of fighting, Fire decided to use his special skills from insects to hand-to-hand attacks, attacking continuously, but in the end, he did not hurt Gojo. The reason is that Gojo possesses absolute defense. The opponent cannot touch him, and he is carefree to attack the opponent. Gojo's ability is infinite, literally like that, which means that Fire is not an opponent. In response to the cursed spirit, Gojo returned a combo of punches and kicks straight at him, and then ended with the best technique. This cursed spirit was completely unable to fight Gojo. So Gojo said, "Wait for me." Then he returned to take Yuji to the fight to show him, was despised by the opponent. Fire decided to use his ultimate skill, domain expansion, causing the surrounding environment to be transformed into a crater under the complete control of Fire. Although this is the second time Yuji has been dropped into a domain, witnessing such a powerful cursed spirit makes Yuji a bit of panic. However, Gojo declares this is just a child's play to him, and it has a way to solve it. For example, I also have domain expansion, then the stronger sorcerer will win, so Yuji and the cursed spirit realize that he is in a class of his own. Gojo's domain is a metaphysical space, flying all the volcanoes of fire. Here you will feel everything, the emotions and information constantly transmitted into Fire's head, causing his whole body to be completely paralyzed. But Gojo does not purify immediately, but just plucks his head and asks him for more information. In a place not far away, Gato and Forest were observing the situation. Seeing that his teammate was about to be purged, Forest immediately teleported to activate his curse technique, create a flower garden, and then grabbed Yuji to put him in a dangerous situation, forced Gojo to rescue. By that time Forest quickly took his teammate's head and ran away. Gojo did not chase him. At the end of the actual lecture, Gojo set a goal for Yuji and his students to be strong enough to deal with such animals. And in the next month, Yuji will have to go on a mission with Gojo, and he will participate in the upcoming friendly match. After being rescued by his teammate, Fire was led to a room with a sunny beach. Gato was also present and carrying the plan to seal Gojo on October 31st, in Shibuya. Back to Tokyo Jujutsu High, Todo Aoi, a super strong guy from Kyoto Jujutsu High, and Zeni Mai, Maki's sister, came over and teasingly, Yuji's death. Megumi and Nobara decided not to ignore them. While the two girls rushed into each other and called each other with affectionate phrases, on the boys' side, Megumi was dominated by Todo because when he asked what Megumi girl's taste was, they answered that the girl had inner beauty. This answer was too boring compared to Todo's standard. It only ended when these second-year students at Kyoto came. Panda and Toge blocked Todo and Maki took care of Mai. After that, the teachers of the two schools were also tense. The headmaster of the Kyoto school was also a member of the superior, which was also the group that Gojo most looked at. He went to tell him about the special grade cursed spirit that he had met, especially to warn him about the new wave of sorcerers, threats that angered the headmaster and certainly would not let go. In the meantime, a case related to the curse happened at Kanami Cinema in Kanagawa Prefecture. 3 male students died with deformed heads, and the only witness was another male student who followed the villain. He is human. Seeing what he could do, this boy was not afraid, simply because his life was already hell. That boy's name was Yoshino Junpei, a boy of the same age as Yuji's group. He was often bullied at school and the teacher ignored it. To protect himself, Junpei asked his mother for permission to leave school. Was also lucky that his mother was a person who did not have an achievement illness, so it was okay as long as he felt the most comfortable. During a movie screening, Junpei encounters Human again. Human doesn't hesitate to tell him everything about the cursed spirit, his origin, and his cursed technique, the power that allows him to transform humans into cursed spirits. Back to Yuji's training, Gojo is busy with work and entrusts him to a trusted junior, Nanami Kento. Nanami is a sorcerer and a salaryman, and their assigned task is investigating the movie theater case. Nanami teaches Yuji to recognize the residual cursed energy, allowing them to track down the culprit. Following the clue to the rooftop, they find a few curses. They split up and each handle one. Nanami pulls out a carefully wrapped knife. His cursed technique allows him to perceive the opponent's weakness, helping him to easily purify the cursed spirit. On Yuji's side, he has better control over cursed energy, but is still slow. However, he utilizes it to create a new fighting method. Physical impact followed by cursed energy to double the damage. He easily exorcisms the remaining cursed spirit. Nanami realizes why Gojo assigned Yuji to him, and believes that Yuji will become a monster in the sorcerer world. When about to purify the cursed spirit, Nanami discovers a watch on its hand. He immediately tells Yuji to stop. After trying to take a picture of the monster, Nanami speculates that these curses are humans. The autopsy results confirm this. They are humans who have been affected, causing them to deform and generate cursed energy, becoming like cursed spirits. Basically, these people have died from shock during the process of body transformation, so exorcising them is more like freeing them than killing them. But that still makes Yuji feel remorseful and determined to find the culprit. Nanami also supports him. After the investigation process, they narrowed down and found the enemy's lair. They also knew about Junpei's existence because he was a schoolmate of the victims and was also present at the scene at the right time. So they decided to investigate Junpei. The task this time is for Yuji, and Nanami wants to fight the main culprit alone. Because Yuji is the same age, it is easier for him to get close to Junpei. And if the enemy uses humans as shields, Yuji will not be able to do anything. To test whether Junpei can see curses, Nanami gives him the fly heads, a type of extremely low-level curse. Depending on Junpei's reaction, the two will find a suitable way to deal with it. On Junpei's side, when he goes home, he meets his homeroom teacher. The teacher blames him for skipping school and not attending the funeral of his close friends, while those friends were the ones who bullied him, and the teacher was the one who ignored it. This makes Junpei angry. Previously, Human had given him the ability to use cursed energy, and he decided to use it on this teacher. Right at that moment, Yuji and the flyheads appeared. Discovering that Junpei can see curses, Yuji quickly helps him get rid of the annoying teacher and successfully gets acquainted with Junpei. Meanwhile, Nanami also proceeds to find Human and gains the upper hand when fighting him. However, this guy keeps recovering continuously. Human's healing method is not like the one that high-level sorcerers often use. His true nature is to control the soul and from there, make the body change according to the soul. Using this technique, Human can store humans in a miniature form and transform them into tools to support him in battle. Thanks to that, Human has pushed Nanami into a difficult position. And don't forget that Nanami has to avoid being touched by him throughout the battle or he will be transformed. Fighting to the end of working hours but still not finished, Nanami's overtime contract is activated, helping him to break the limit of his cursed energy. Not only that, Nanami also possesses another type of element. When revealing to the opponent his cursed technique, he can maximize his cursed energy in the next attack. Realizing that he can't keep attacking until Human runs out of energy, he has to come up with a plan to destroy him immediately. Nanami concentrated all his amplified cursed energy to punch the wall, causing the rocks and earth to collapse on both of them. Human realizes and plans to run away, but Nanami is faster and takes one of his legs. However, still unable to destroy him, Human leaves with a promise to meet again if he is still alive. Through this encounter, Nanami also had a look at the enemy. He is like a child who wants to enjoy his maturity. If not eliminated soon, it will be a threat. Back to Yuji's investigation subject, Junpei was previously told by Human the signs to recognize Jujutsu High students through their buttons, so Junpei immediately knew Yuji's origin. Human also advised him to befriend these students because they would get along well. Although still a bit suspicious, Yuji and Junpei actually got along quite well, especially in terms of movies. They talked about movies with excitement, and Yuji even asked for Junpei's number so he could invite him to the cinema together. This surprised Junpei because it was the first time someone had been so close to him. Just then, Junpei's mother appeared. She wanted to invite Yuji home for dinner to thank him for befriending her son. She was a kind and cheerful woman who liked Yuji. However, after Junpei returned, an incident happened. Junpei's mother was attacked and killed by cursed spirits, along with the appearance of a Sukuna finger. Human took advantage of that opportunity to deceive Junpei that only the rich have this kind of talisman. A confused mind plus the provocative words made Junpei start to think crookedly. With all the arrangements from beginning to end, the final purpose of the cursed spirit was to make Yuji and Junpei confront each other. Surely then Yuji would want to save his friend and rely on Sukuna to create a beneficial contract for the King of Curses. Junpei acted exactly as he wanted. He poisoned everyone in the hall, especially the rich guy who had bullied him and was the one he suspected the most, knowing that Yuji also appeared to stop him. The curse technique that Human gave Junpei was a type of curse technique that focused on poison, and when activated it would summon a jellyfish Shikigami, but its attacks were all ineffective against Yuji. Junpei had no combat experience, so of course he couldn't compete with Yuji, but fists are not the way to awaken Junpei. Yuji ignored himself to take the hit from the Shikigami to try to convince his friend to wake up and follow him to Jujutsu High. Everything was going well when Human appeared. After controlling Yuji, Human revealed his true nature, and when Junpei realized it was too late, he activated the curse technique to transform Junpei into a cursed spirit and ordered him to attack Yuji. Just as Human wanted, Yuji had to ask for Sukuna's help, but he refused, even laughing at his pain. Too angry at being played by the cursed spirits and the tragic death of Junpei, a beautiful future was destroyed by them, making Yuji no longer happy. Immediately a punch was sent straight to Human face. It seemed like Human would still be calm because physical attacks did not affect him, but this time it was strange. It caused damage to his soul. After taking a series of punches filled with Yuji's anger, the cursed spirit realized that he had to develop his transformation ability right in the middle of the battle, or he would be exorcised. He immediately changed his body state and rushed to attack, causing Yuji to take a lot of damage. Yuji didn't give up. He rushed in close to attack, but all of them were dodged by Human. Taking the opportunity, Human approached Sukuna's soul, but the King of Curses said no. Human immediately ate Yuji's combo. It seemed like when receiving more cursed energy, Yuji could finish off this cursed spirit right away, but no. He had awakened in time and lunged back to counterattack. Fortunately for Yuji, Nanami arrived in time to save him from a blow. After hearing Yuji's report on the situation and his condition, and that he had caused damage to his soul, Nanami came up with a way to deal with this tough opponent. Yuji would play an important role in damaging him while he would move to block his counterattack. If all goes well, it is possible to destroy Human. The combat begins. Human rushes to attack, but when he realizes that these two are too strong together, he decides to change his strategy. Human summons a few more mutated people to separate them for easy handling. He wanted to take advantage of Yuji's unwillingness to harm humans to hold him back so that he could attack Nanami. However, Yuji had cleared his mind. He acted quickly and gone to let the victims go peacefully and immediately returned to coordinate with Nanami to launch a series of attacks that made the cursed spirit unable to change shape. It seemed like this combo would exorcise him, but in the moment between life and death, Human leveled up again. He was able to use domain expansion and pulled Nanami into his domain. With the special nature of the domain, Nanami was no different from a fish on a cutting board. At that moment, Nanami gave up and accepted his fate. Yuji intervened and broke the domain from the outside. He stepped into Human's domain, causing Human to come into contact with Sukuna's soul. Sukuna was an introvert, so he slashed Human, causing him to be severely injured and unable to maintain the domain. Taking advantage of the opportunity, Yuji concentrated his energy and decided to exorcise the cursed spirit. Human used all his remaining cursed energy to transform his body into a giant. At the moment Yuji's punch hit him, he exploded like a bubble to escape. Due to being severely injured and his cursed energy decreasing, Yuji also collapsed on the spot. After recovering his health and talking with Nanami, Yuji still felt conflicted about attacking the mutated people. However, Nanami explained to him that he did the right thing. At the same time, Nanami acknowledged Yuji as a real sorcerer. So when Yuji understood what a proper death was, he would be able to exorcise those cursed spirits. He would never lose again. Human failure made Geto and the cursed spirits decide to change their strategy. They would not rush Yuji to bind with Sukuna anymore. Instead, they would carry out the original plan. Now they wanted to take Sukuna's 6 fingers at Tokyo Jujutsu High for Yuji to swallow, and at the same time eliminate Gojo. They had to finish everything before Yuji was assassinated. So Geto had to change the plan and finish everything before Yuji was assassinated. Back to the exchange between the two high schools, the representative students of Kyoto School were present. Besides Mai and Todo, there were also Momo Nishimiya, a sorcerer who liked to play Quidditch, Ultimate Mechimaru, controlled by Kokichi Muta, and especially Noritoshi Kamo. The last sorcerer was Kasumi Miwa, and their instructor was Ms. Lori Utahime. At this time, Gojo brought Yuji out to everyone's surprise, but the principal of Kyoto School was not only surprised but also angry. So he planned to eliminate Yuji as soon as possible, and he would take advantage of this friendly match. Instead of focusing on solving curses to win, he instructed his students to find ways to kill the vessel of Sukuna and stage it as an accident. Everyone agreed to listen to the principal except Todo, who declared his refusal and even threatened to punch him if he ordered him to do so. Due to Todo's absence, the Kyoto team decided to focus on finding and attacking Yuji to complete their mission. The rules of the competition are basically that the team that exercises the level 2 curse first wins. Besides that, there are many other level 3 curses to deal with. If the level 2 curse is not exercised by sunset, the number of level 3 curses will be counted to find the winner. Right at the start of the match, as Maki predicted, Todo rushed straight at his opponent. At that time, Yuji alone would hold Todo back while the others went to find the boss cursed spirit. Back to the match between Yuji and Todo. As expected, Yuji was no match for Todo. He was defeated by Todo after just a few blows. Although the match seemed to be over, Yuji did not give up. Seeing that Yuji seemed interesting, Todo asked about Yuji's girlfriend's type. Yuji replied that he liked girls with big butts. As soon as he heard this answer, Todo started crying because he had finally found his soulmate. At the same time, the other members of the Kyoto team found Yuji's location. They immediately attacked Yuji, who was quickly surrounded. But a clap sounded and Yuji's position and a member of the Kyoto team were swapped. That was Todo's curse technique, which swapped positions with a clap. Todo coldly threatens his schoolmates not to mess around, causing Noritoshi to reluctantly agree to change the plan and leave Yuji to Toro to deal with. They would try to neutralize the Tokyo team. Before that, the Tokyo team had realized the opponent's plan to assassinate Yuji. So Panda suggested that Togi go and deal with the cursed spirits as quickly as possible, while the others also went to find and neutralize the Kyoto team. Immediately upon seeing Momo appear on a broom, Megumi ordered his Shikigami to shoot her down. Then each member of Tokyo approached and fought their opponent. Maki faced Miwa, Megumi would fight Noritoshi, and Panda and Nobara would take on the broom-riding sorcerer. Back to the intense close combat between Toro and Yuji, the advantage somewhat belonged to the Kyoto representative. Todo was getting annoyed that Yuji was controlling his cursed energy so poorly, so Toro switched to training Yuji. Todo thought that Yuji's martial arts were just ordinary weapons and it was difficult to fight high-level enemies with them. Todo taught Yuji how to maximize his physical and cursed energy abilities. The battles in other places were extremely fierce. On Mechamaru's side, he came to support Momo and his opponent was Panda. So the clash took place between a physical cursed corpse and a remote-controlled cursed corpse robot. Although it was a bit tattered, the victory belonged to Panda. Meanwhile, Maki, with her ability to use curse tools, completely overwhelmed Miwa. With just a few tricks and superior fighting ability, she neutralized her opponent. Not only that, Maki also took Miwa's sword. In the battle between Nobara and Momo, although Nobara had difficulty at first against Momo, she was able to defeat her opponent by using her curse technique intelligently. But just as she was about to deliver the finishing blow, she was suddenly attacked and fell to the ground by Mai's bullet. However, the Zenin sister didn't have to wait long to meet her opponent. Maki appeared, and the battle between the two sisters seemed tensy. Although Mai held a gun and Maki used a knife, thanks to the agility of a close combat master, it was not difficult for her to dodge all the bullets. As soon as she realized that her sister was out of bullets, Maki stopped hiding and attacked directly. However, what she didn't expect was that Mai's curse technique could create more bullets. Although she was a little surprised, the bullet couldn't take her down. Maki even caught the bullet with her bare hands with ease. The battle came to an end with Maki's victory. The two sisters then confided in each other to resolve their conflict. As for Megumi, he was struggling with Noritoshi. With the Kamo clan's exclusive curse technique of blood manipulation, Noritoshi could control the direction of his blood arrows while also buffing his energy and physicality, putting Megumi at a disadvantage. However, Gojo's favorite student didn't fail that easily. Megumi summoned his new Shikigami, Max Elephant, and combined it with the huge amount of water created by Max Elephant to both push back and wet his opponent's body. Megumi immediately called another Shikigami, Nue, to attack him with electricity. Noritoshi used his curse technique to control Nue to avoid being attacked again. The battle was intense when suddenly the trees attacked them. Toge appeared and used his curse technique to tell them both to run away immediately. Thanks to that, the two sorcerers escaped a dangerous situation. Back then, after using cursed speech to neutralize Miwa through Mechamaru's phone, Toge sensed the appearance of an extremely powerful cursed spirit, its Forest, who had saved fire before. And he was the one behind this attack. However, this guy did not go alone. Human and another sorcerer also appeared at the scene to capture Gojo Satoru. The organizers also realized that there was an intruder. Immediately, Gojo, the principal, and Ms. Lori rushed to check. At this time, a curtain was newly covered over the competition area. It seemed that the intruders had prepared an anti-Gojo plan to prevent him from entering, so he had to find another way. The remaining two entered, and facing them was a curse with a bald head. He was also the author of the curtain that blocked Gojo. The one who will fight him is the old Kyoto principal, with a burning rocker look. Back to the situation of Megumi's group. After being continuously attacked by Forest, they realized that they were not strong enough to fight a cursed spirit that could use domain expansion. The best option now was to seek assistance, particularly from Gojo, to request help. But Forest didn't give them the chance to do so. He immediately approached Megumi and broke the phone. Toga used his cursed speech to make Forest pause so that the other two could attack but did not cause any damage to him. And once again, the whole team was chased by the cursed spirit. With the strength of all three, it was very difficult to fight it, so they could only fight and run. But if they kept running like this, it wouldn't be a good idea either. They were pushed to the corner and compelled to engage directly. But the personnel problem was not good. Toge had suffered too much damage after using cursed speech many times. Noritoshi was also blown away. In such an urgent situation, Megumi decided to use a trump card, but Toge stopped him. Although it seemed unstable, Toge still used cursed speech to blow away the cursed spirit and then collapsed on the spot. The attack was powerful, but did not damage Forest. At the same time, Maki arrived. She teamed up with Megumi to fight the cursed spirit. Through Megumi's shadow, Maki took out Playful Cloud, a special-grade cursed tool to fight Forest. The combination of Maki and Megumi seemed to be working when suddenly Megumi was hit by Forest's curse. This plant bud would absorb all of Megumi's cursed energy if he tried to use it. Maki was also attacked unexpectedly. Faced with the risk of defeat, Megumi accepted to sacrifice himself to use his curse technique, but Maki stopped him because she sensed the arrival of reinforcements. Immediately, Yuji and Todo appeared and continued to fight Forest. The two of them would directly deal with this cursed spirit. However, Todo would not fight and would instead leave it to Yuji first. To start the battle, Yuji rushed forward and threw a series of punches with all his anger, then finished with a straight punch. Forest was not to be outdone as he retaliated with a series of tree roots, but Yuji's attitude did not satisfy Todo. He immediately slapped his little brother to wake him up and told him to control his anger. When he returned to the battle, Yuji's intense focus made Forest a little scared. That was also the moment when Yuji used his ultimate technique, Black Flash. The blow injured Forest quite badly. Next, Forest would have to fight two people who could also use Black Flash. Todo would now join the fight, and Forest also started to release all of his terrifying cursed energy, creating giant roots that continuously attacked Yuji and Todo. However, the speed and mobility of both were so fast that they dodged all of them. They even approached Forest and attacked him with 2 consecutive Black Flash blows. But just as they were about to land another blow, Forest cancelled his curse technique, causing the roots to disappear, and then continued to attack Todo and Yuji. Thanks to the excellent teamwork between Todo and Yuji, they both dodged Forest's attack and landed safely. Right after that, in a moment of carelessness, Todo was attacked by Forest and thrown towards the sharp branches. In a moment of danger, a clap sounded. Suddenly, Forest switched places with Todo and made him take the hit. This was Todo's curse technique. With this curse technique, Todo and Yuji constantly changed positions, making it challenging for Forest to defend. At the same time, Yuji became more proficient in the Black Flash skill and was able to throw 4 blows at the same time, something that even masters would find difficult to do. Being attacked continuously, Forest had to use his strongest move. In the moment Yuji was attacked, Todo switched positions between Yuji and Forest. As for Todo, he immediately used a huge amount of cursed energy to surround his body. However, in a moment, Todo retracted it to take the blow. Todo had realized that this thing only targeted cursed energy. Not letting the enemy rest, Yuji and Todo immediately continued to attack non-stop. Their goal was to push Forest to the riverbank where they first met. When they arrived, Todo immediately switched Yuji's position with Playful Cloud. Although Forest took a fatal blow to the face from a special grade curse tool along with the previous blows, Forest still stood firm. Forest used his left arm to absorb all the life in the surrounding area to nurture the flower on his shoulder so that he could use domain expansion. But before he could activate it, the curtain was broken by Gojo Satoru. After the Kyoto principal defeated the bald curse user, realizing that if he went to Yuji, Forest might run away, Gojo used the Hollow Technique Purple, an advanced technique that collides the lapse and reversal of the Limitless to attack from a distance aimed directly at Forest's location. However, that attack could not completely exorcise Forest. He had time to escape. Previously, Human had completed the mission of infiltrating Tokyo High, not only taking away 6 of Sukuna's fingers, but also taking 3 of the 9 The Cursed Womb death paintings. These are curses created by humans themselves, possessing a huge amount of cursed energy originating from the mother's hatred. But in the end, they were taken advantage of by Noritoshi Kamo, the cruelest sorcerer in history, to create 9 such terrifying cursed wombs. A short time later, there were consecutive cases. The common point was that all of them were attacked by the same type of curse. While complaining about the door always opening on its own, Yuji, Megumi, and Nobara's group were asked to solve this case. Another noteworthy thing is that all 3 victims were studying at the same high school for 2 years, so the whole group will go to that school to investigate. But before that, they met an acquaintance of those 3 victims, but when they arrived, that acquaintance had also died. His death was similar to those before. Now Yuji's group can only investigate at that school. Coincidentally, this is also the place where Megumi used to study. After a while of investigating, they found a clue related to the Iyaso Hachi Bridge, a place famous for suicides. So the team's priority is to go there to investigate. After a night of waiting, they still couldn't get any results. The longer it takes, the more people will be harmed. They need to urgently find the reason why the curse was created and exorcise it as soon as possible. At a dead end, an acquaintance of Megumi appeared, bringing them more information that she felt a strange presence in front of her house, and at the same time helped to confirm the relationship between these cases and the bridge. She was also showing signs of being visited by the curse. This girl also added something that surprised Megumi, that his sister had also gone to the bridge at night with her. The case is now getting more and more complicated. Megumi immediately calls to request a bodyguard to protect his sister. But he received a notification that his superiors were reassessing the level of the curse. It is likely beyond the capabilities of the level 2 sorcerers, so the whole team can return. Megumi was also confused about what to do at this point. If they went back and waited for Gojo, it would be too late. So he decided to exorcise the curse himself right away. Megumi lied to Yuji and Nobara that he would be back later to avoid putting his two friends in danger. That night, Megumi went to the bridge alone, using the same method that the people who were cursed had used. Because his lying skills were so bad, his two friends came back and followed him. It was only then that Megumi told the truth about his sister's condition. The curse had possessed her, and her condition was very critical. However, due to the heightened severity of the curse, and his concern for the safety of his two friends, he took the necessary action. However, it was not certain if Yuji and Nobara would listen to him. So, Megumi had to accept the help of his two noisy teammates. After preparing, they officially entered the barrier of the curse. There was not only the curse, but also a cursed womb, death paintings, which Gato had released earlier. Yuji confronted the monster while Megumi and Nobara dealt with the curse. The battle between Yuji and the cursed womb was quite intense. Its close combat abilities were somewhat limited, causing it to be hit continuously by Yuji. However, throughout the battle, it constantly released its blood. Although he dodged all of it, Yuji was still quite worried. As for Nobara and Megumi, they easily destroyed the cursed. While Megumi was still lost in thought, Nobara was captured by another cursed womb, death paintings. After seeing his brother arrive, Cursed Womb, who was fighting Yuji, hurriedly ran after him. Megumi assessed the situation and determined that the two monsters they had just faced were more of a threat, so he told Yuji to hurry and support Nobara while he handled things here. After destroying the swarm of cursed rats, Megumi finally realized the true cursed spirit, the final boss of this level. It appeared now, a cursed womb exactly like the one he had encountered at the juvenile detention center before, but much more formidable. Both the power of its attacks and its speed were far superior. And even when Megumi used his Shikigami, he only managed to escape one blow. After remembering Gojo's words, he immediately showed his might, causing even the cursed womb to feel fear. Megumi formed the hand seals and activated a technique that only high-level sorcerers can use: domain expansion. As soon as it was activated, the surrounding environment changed, transforming into a thick, viscous darkness that enveloped the cursed womb. While inside the domain, Megumi and his Shikigami were boosted in power several times over. They continuously attacked, causing the cursed womb to panic. When it tried to escape by releasing energy, Megumi used the black and white husky to appear behind it and pierce a hole through its body with the husky's claws, completely destroying it. After the battle, Megumi recovered Sukuna's finger, but since it was his first time doing so, he was exhausted and lost a lot of blood, causing him to collapse on the spot. At the bridge where Nobara was located, I'll temporarily call this guy the oldest brother and the other guy, the kid. They both sensed a massive power surge and figured out the cursed womb had been cleansed. The oldest brother hurriedly ran there to retrieve the finger, but before he could leave, Yuji and the kid appeared behind him and got a full view of his bizarre back. The oldest brother was enraged. He swore to make them both pay and unleashed his corrosive blood magic on the two sorcerers. Recognizing the danger, Yuji grabbed Nobara and ran before things could get worse. Just when they thought they had escaped, the kid appeared behind them and spat blood on Yuji. Nobara was also hit by the oldest brother's attack. Black rose patterns appeared on the areas where their skin was hit. The oldest brother explained that the flesh would gradually rot in those areas. Nobara would only have 10 minutes to live, and Yuji would have 900 seconds. Their only chance of survival was to break the curse technique, which meant killing the two brothers. This was a clever move, but it backfired. They underestimated Nobara. She had a skill that made her enemies share her pain. Instead of needing a body part like before, she now had the cursed blood on her skin, which was enough to activate her curse technique. The oldest brother believed that the pain and injury he had inflicted would be too much for the two sorcerers to bear. He was wrong. They were both determined to survive, and they fought back with everything they had. But that wasn't the case with Yuji. Even Nobara activated her curse technique, inflicting damage on both sides. Yuji unleashed a flurry of punches on the kid, knowing that the pain wasn't enough to take his little brother down. But the oldest brother still rushed in to stop the two, and at the same time, Nobara and Yuji switched opponents. After the damage Yuji had done to the kid, Nobara was able to easily purify him. As for the oldest brother, now facing Yuji, he was hesitant to release his cursed technique. After some thought, he decided to free it. Waiting for his chance, Yuji rushed in and launched a relentless attack, putting the oldest brother in misery. To end the battle, Yuji and Nobara simultaneously unleashed a frontal attack on their opponent. The kid, breathing his last, tried to sneak attack Nobara, but was easily defeated by her. Faced with his brother's death, the oldest brother broke down in tears. Yuji and Nobara sensed that there was something different about the kid than ordinary cursed spirits. Just then, a truck drove by, giving the two brothers a chance to escape. Although Yuji chased after them, the oldest brother used a person on the truck as a hostage. However, Nobara used her cursed technique on the oldest brother's arm, and at the same time, Yuji landed a finishing blow, completely destroying him. After the battle, Yuji carries Nobara back under the bridge and finds Megumi unconscious. Luckily, Megumi wakes up shortly after, but unfortunately, Sukuna has already swallowed the collected finger. It seems that Yuji's body is still able to control him, so everyone is safe. The mission is complete, but Megumi and Nobara both understand that Yuji's ingestion of Sukuna's fingers will attract more cursed spirits, and such incidents will happen more frequently. Therefore, they decide to keep it a secret from Yuji. However, even though they don't tell him, Yuji finds out through Sukuna's mouth and forces him to keep it a secret as well. After going through many fierce battles, sorcerers like Maki, Panda, Megumi, Nobara, and Yuji are recommended to be promoted to Grade 1 sorcerers. It seems we've forgotten about one person. Gojo Satoru is still investigating a curse insider, possibly a student at one of the Jujutsu High Schools. Who is this person? What are Geto and the Cursed Womb planning? Will the Jujutsu High students level up? What challenges lie ahead? And will Gojo be able to wipe out all of Geto's followers? Stay tuned for the second season of Jujutsu Kaisen. See you next time.